Hello, everyone. My name is RJ Theofield with the City of Hoboken, and welcome to the NJDEP community meeting to discuss the Rebuild by Design Hudson River project. Joining with us today, we have members of the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection. They will be going over a brief presentation on the ongoing construction of the resist structure as well as Harborside Park improvements. A quick housekeeping rules before we get started on the presentation. In the bottom right-hand corner of your screen of Zoom, you'll see a Q&A feature. Please feel free to submit questions using that feature throughout the presentation, and then following the presentation, the team will go through those questions and do a moderated Q&A. With that, I will turn it over to Dennis to begin our presentation.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Dennis Reinicht, Director of Resilience Engineering and Construction here at the DEP. We're excited to meet with you all tonight to provide a project update. We'll be providing some useful information on the ongoing construction phase of the Rebuild by Design Hudson River project. We have complete confidence that partnerships we have built together at the federal, state, and local level, including all of you here tonight, will allow us to construct this critical piece of infrastructure on schedule to help better protect our communities from the next storm surge along the Hudson River. Myself and many of the members of my DEP team have been with the project since 2015 and are very excited to finally have this phase of the construction project underway. Tonight, we'll be walking you through the project overview, work previously completed, and ongoing and upcoming construction activities. I want to acknowledge that there has also been information about our real estate needs for the project in the press and within the community itself. I want to make clear that the project has obtained all project public and private easements required to complete the project, with the exception of 5 Jersey City public easements in roadway right-of-ways and on some sidewalks. We continue to work with Jersey City to finalize these easements and resolve in a timely fashion. We do not anticipate these easements disrupting the flow of the project or the completion date. Tonight's meeting is only one of many meetings we will be holding with you as the project moves forward. We will have additional meetings that focus on specific areas of work and as the project really gets moving later this year. With that introduction, I'd like to hand the presentation over to our DEP project manager and project lead, Frank Schwarz.
Thanks, Dennis. Hello, I'm Frank Schwarz. I am the project team manager for the project. I've been on it for about the last 9 years. And the last time we had an update meeting in November, we really didn't have a lot of activity on the ground to talk about. But our contractor, EE Crews, has now begun construction in earnest. As you may know, we are currently working in the Harborside Park area, trying to do so with the least impact possible, but obviously we are impacting things quite a bit. We are coordinating with Elysian Charter School to make sure that we provide as much park space as we possibly can. And also we're trying to make sure we halt potentially noisy pile driving activities during the upcoming state school testing in May. We are planning on giving you a complete update on where we are and what our schedule is in a few minutes, but I'd like to take just a couple minutes to go over how we got to this point in the project for those of you who may not be familiar with it. As you know, Superstorm Sandy made landfall on the East Coast in October of 2011 or 2012 with significant flooding in Hoboken, Weehawken, and Jersey City. Chris, if you could change slides. Chris, can you change slides?
The slide changed on my screen.
Oh, no, it's there now. So in the aftermath of Sandy, the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development enacted a unique design competition, Rebuild by Design, with the intent of promoting the development of innovative, resilient projects. One of the 7 competition winners, the Rebuild by Design Hudson River project, was developed as a comprehensive approach to secure a resilient future for the neighborhoods of Hoboken and parts of Jersey City and Weehawken in Hudson County. The resist, delay, store, and discharge strategy proposed as a part of the competition was then further developed during a feasibility and environmental impact statement process. Resist focused on the resisting of coastal storm surge, similar to what was experienced during Superstorm Sandy. While the delay, storage, discharge focuses on stormwater management systems, and urban infrastructure, similar to the Northwest Resiliency Park built by the city of Hoboken, to slow rainwater runoff, store and direct excess rainwater, and pump the stored stormwater once the floodwaters recede. Due to funding limitations, it was determined that the larger resist portion would be funded by the federal government, while the municipalities and North Hudson Sewerage Authority used the existing planning, the environmental impact statement feasibility study developed at the start of this project, to leverage additional funding for work on the DSD design delay store discharge components over the following 15 to 20 years. Many of these efforts have already been completed by Hoboken or are in development. The question is, how was the resist strategy that we are currently implementing developed? We looked at the project area that was defined by the original competition proposal that includes parts of Jersey City and Weehawken and the entirety of Hoboken. We looked at the floodplain in the project area, is the blue part of this slide. And we looked at the breach points where the floodwaters of the Hudson River entered the project area. You can see that the flooding entered the area through the New Jersey Transit Rail Yard and at the cove at Harborside Park. The waters then flooded other low-lying areas. To stop the flow of the floodwaters throughout the area, a resist alignment was developed to stop the water at these locations to prevent flooding in other low-lying areas in the back of Hoboken and the rest of the project area. The reason that the resist structure doesn't run the full length of the project area is due to the natural topography of Hoboken. As you can see, and most of you already know, the center portion of eastern Hoboken along the Hudson River is at a much higher elevation. This allows the project to only construct two separate components, a northern and a southern alignment. Using the two alignments and the natural topography, the project is going to complete the line of protection to an elevation of 15.5 feet above sea level. This includes protection from the 1% or 100-year storm flood elevation with an additional foot of freeboard to prevent overtopping of the wall during wave events, and an additional 2.3 feet of height, anticipating sea level rise of 2.3 feet by 2075. The full design of the resist structure includes the northern and southern resist components, as well as a sewer separation modification, which you can see is in yellow on this slide. This modification was completed in 2021. It also entailed a northern and southern work component that were integral to the performance to the overall resist project. The sewer separation work was all underground. It involved, as the name implies, separating the sewer piping from the stormwater drainage system. Chris, can you, next slide? This was done so that any flooding from a coastal surge event would not be able to go under the resist structure itself through the combined sewer and stormwater system that was previously in place. It also prevents water from reaching the North Hudson Sewerage Authority treatment facility during a surge event. As an additional benefit, the separation of sewer and stormwater prevents some stormwater from entering the treatment plant during rainwater events. This sewer separation work is one component of the overall system. The project is currently constructing the remainder of the resist structure, which includes the physical barriers and gates that will resist the next coastal storm surge event. I'm going to let Chris Corliss describe that, the individual components, but hopefully I've been able to give you a quick idea on how we got where we are now. And I'd like to introduce Chris Corliss of WSP, who is a part of our construction management team, so that he can update you on those components that I've talked about, where we are now, and what's coming up in the future. Chris?
Thanks, Frank. Tonight, we're going to provide a general update on the progress of this project, which we all know will ultimately result in achieving greater resilience against storm surge. First, however, I want to provide an overview of the major components with an alignment overview for the north and the south project area. I am going to cover the construction, how it'll generally proceed, followed by generally when and where construction is anticipated, as well as provide a construction progress update. And then I'll wrap up with quality of life items and public outreach. In general, this project is going to consist of approximately 10,000 linear feet of concrete flood wall with 27 floodgates. These floodgates will vary between swing gates, sliding gates, and stop logs. There will be improvements to Harborside Park and urban amenities integrated into the alignment. The last three bullets depicted are associated with the substructure supports to help keep the resist structure in place and at the design proper elevation. There'll be two different types of structures on this project. One will be a T-wall, which is shown on the top left of the slide for higher wall heights, and an L or an I wall type configuration shown on the bottom left slide, so part of the left side of the slide for shorter wall sections. There'll also be multiple gate types installed as a part of this project. This slide also illustrates the types and example photos. So the first type is a rolling gate. These gates will roll on a track when moved into a closed position. The second type, shown in the middle, is a swing gate, which will kind of close just like a door. And the last type is a stop log, which will be stored nearby and will be slid into place when needed. These stop logs are generally intended for smaller openings. I do want to just walk through the resist alignment with you. So on this slide, you'll see two different colors, a cyan color that depicts the resist structure and a red color that'll depict the various gates that will be constructed. In addition, there's numbers shown on this on the slide. Those illustrate the approximate wall heights in those various areas. So working left to right of the slide, the resist structure will tie into the New Jersey Transit rail embankment and then wrap around HBLR. It'll cross Jersey Ave and tie back into New Jersey Transit HBLR embankment. There will be a gate and structures that tie into the embankment on Grove Street. And on Marin, the resist structure will end in the embankment, cross Marin, and proceed through the New Jersey Transit yard. And then it'll proceed along Observer Highway. It will cross Observer by Washington Street and head up Washington to terminate just prior to Newark Street. There are two additional sections in Jersey City located along 18th Street and Marin that will also tie into New Jersey Transit and HBLR embankment or structures. On the north side, I'll again work from left to right. The structure starts on Washington Street between 13th and 14th. It'll proceed past 14th Street and then turn up through the alley to Bloomfield. Then it'll continue towards Garden, where the alignment will then turn towards the park. The alignment will dissect Harborside Park and head towards Harbor Boulevard. Once the alignment crosses Harbor Boulevard, it'll turn and go along HBLR. It'll cross the HBLR tracks and then continue to 19th Street. After crossing 19th Street, it runs along the HBLR line, turns west under the 19th Street parking ramp, and ending in a parking area between the two buildings near JFK Boulevard East. As I mentioned earlier, improvements to Harborside Park will be made as a part of this project. The top illustration shows the pre-construction park area. with the expanded park area once the park is complete. The rendering on the bottom highlights some of the features that'll be a part of the improved Harborside Park. The resist structure will underlie this park and create an elevated section across the eventual park. So now I'd like to walk through the typical construction sequence as this project progresses. So test pit is underway and has been underway and will continue to occur over the next couple of months. The purpose of the test pits is to investigate and confirm locations of underground utilities prior to the start of the construction in applicable areas, because really what it's intended to do is minimize potential delays and impacts during construction. Some of the other early construction activities will include installing piles and sheeting. So the center photo is an illustration of the piles and sheeting that have already been installed in Harborside Park. Typically, once these piles and sheeting are installed, the contractor will excavate and install the foundation for the resist structure. The right photo illustrates the rebar, which would subsequently be filled with concrete for the foundation. Once the foundation is set, then the structure stem wall would be installed. So on the left, you can see a sample of the stem wall. After the wall's constructed, then the gates will be delivered and installed. And then the final step would be the urban amenities, restoring landscaping, plantings, and site restoration. So as I mentioned before, the contractor has started construction, and now I'm going to walk through a general timeline of where the construction sequence is anticipated. The overall project completion remains to be the summer of 2027. The sequence of construction will generally proceed in a linear nature. So just kind of what I just covered on the last couple slides, the crews will install the piles and sheetings, would move along with the crews that following them, installing the foundation, and then followed by the stem wall crews that would work behind them. So in the top image, the construction in the green area to the east of Jersey Ave is anticipated to proceed, which is ongoing, and I will give an update. Early 2024 to early 2025. The area west of Jersey Ave is anticipated to begin towards the end of 2024 and continue to early 2026. Also anticipating working in Grove Street area from early 2025 through fall of 2025. Now moving to the bottom illustration, work on and around Marin Street is expected in the summer of 2024 to the spring of 2025. And work will proceed in the New Jersey Transit Yard from summer of 2024 through the end of 2025. It's also anticipated that we'll be working in the Observer Highway and Washington Street area from fall of 24 to fall of 25. And in addition, work on 18th Street in Jersey City is anticipated in the spring of 25 and continuing to the spring of 26. Now, I do want to note, as I walk through these timelines, there may be unforeseen subsurface conditions or situations that may arise during construction. So in those situations, work can be stopped at those locations and moved further along the alignment to allow for continued construction progress while resolving the conflict. I do also want to note, even though we're kind of going through these timeframes, there could be work potentially outside these timeframes as we're working towards a final completion in summer of 27. And then last, as we do work along and finish these areas, there is a process prior to completion or project completion in the summer of 27, where there's going to be final inspections and demobilization and final approvals that will need to occur. Now, in the north area, also work has been initiated. Now, the Harborside Park, the contractor is currently working from corner of 15th in the southeast corner and working towards Hoboken. And the Harborside Park is targeting a completion of 2026. There's other construction crews will be starting late in 2024 through the summer of 25, working from 15th and Garden southbound, and then turning towards the alleyway and heading towards Bloomfield. The last section of work in Hoboken's north area will be the going along the alleyway and turning into Washington Street, which will happen, is anticipated to happen summer 25 to spring of 26. And again, there may be periods where may have to revisit locations throughout this project, and do want to note that there is intended work that's going to happen concurrently between the north and the south project areas. So now what I'd like to do is just touch on some work that's going on right now. Just a brief overview. So this slide is up in Weehawken. And that's where the structure foundation and excavation is underway, with the foundation rebar and the concrete installation occurring. In the south, there's been some demolition work performed in the New Jersey Transit Yard. In addition, there's the area east of Jersey Ave has been cleared with some off-site soil disposal being performed. Also, the pile installation equipment and materials are being delivered and mobilized in this area, with the pile installation to begin imminently. Last, there's a mobilization for the southern wall mock-up construction occurring near 2nd and Marshall Street, near the HBLR station. Work in Harborside Park. So there are several activities that have been occurring and are ongoing in Harborside Park. The site has been cleared and excess soil is being disposed of off-site. The temporary park is being established along with temporary lighting. In addition, pile and sheet pile installation is underway. Construction of a mock-up structure is also underway. I did mention that on the last slide. So this mock-up wall is to confirm the proper concrete form liner finish. Also, it enables the contractor work through the stem wall construction logistics and integration of some select wall features. And then actually just tying again, bottom right-hand corner, while we're going through construction now, just to show the final rendering of the park upon once construction's complete. Quality of life impacts will be monitored. The construction work will be performed within the permissible noise, vibration, and will be consistently monitored. Contractor will be implementing their submitted approved plans for noise, dust, and vibration control and monitoring. In the event noise and vibration or dust levels exceed acceptable limits, the contractor will advise the construction manager immediately, and appropriate action will be taken. The DEP continues to coordinate with the Resist construction contractor to ensure compliance with all dust control requirements that meet state regulations in the contract. The DEP has contacted the contractor regarding recent dust concerns and reiterated the importance of taking all reasonable measures to reduce the amount of dust being generated. Traffic maintenance and protection will be ongoing through the project. Periodic lane shifts and or lane closures will be in close coordination with Hoboken Police Department. In addition, Hoboken Police Department, or the Office of Emergency Management, will assist with traffic flow for any lane closures and provide traffic control officers to guide pedestrians. Also would like to note, no parking will be permitted within the work areas during area closures. And the Hoboken Terminal and path will be maintained, access to them will be maintained at all times. So coordination will occur with New Jersey Transit on any impacts to bus routes or potential limited impacts to trains. Now with that, I would like to reintroduce Isabella Brachetta to discuss some public outreach. So Isabella, are you there?
Hi. Yeah, hi. Can you hear me?
Yep, loud and clear.
Awesome. Yes, my name is Isabella Brachetta, and I am here as a community construction liaison. And you can reach us, the project, via our email or our phone number, and I will be the one receiving all of those inquiries and making sure they get responded to in a timely manner. You can also sign up for our weekly community construction newsletters or advisories that we send every Friday, and stay informed through our website. And if you have any needs for information, translated information to other languages or informational materials, let us know and we'll make sure they get to you. Yeah.
Thanks, Isabella.
No problem.
I guess with that, turn it back to is it Hoboken or DEP?
Yeah, I think we can start going through some of the questions that came up. That's all right with you guys.
Sure. I guess what I could do is, I guess for folks, I can leave open or leave the screen on here. So as folks can take time to write down any of this information or do the QR screenshots with their phones.
So Frank, I think the first one's for DEP. Does the project have goals to support local and small businesses and or service disabled veteran businesses?
Yeah, Caleb, sorry, my audio would not allow me to unmute. There are goals with the contract that they do have small business, minority business, veteran business involved. There are with the CDBG funding, there's also something called Section 3 efforts that are needed to be done as well, where people with lower incomes are sought after so that they can be hired to work on the project, so that some of the money that HUD's using to facilitate the project gets to some of that lower income group. This project is mostly done through union work. So Cruise uses union employees, and they have to, the unions have their own ways of providing people. I'm sure most people already understand that. So I think there's a little bit of difficulty in getting those people labor jobs. But we are working with the contractor and with the unions and hope we can actually make some of that.
Great.
And Frank, don't they submit monthly reports to the state on their progress?
Yeah,
as part of
monthly
their
and
invoices?
quarterly reports, yes.
Yep, thanks.
Next question, what was the design thinking around not extending protection to the Hudson T other buildings at the north end? Frank, I can answer some of this, and then if you want to
Sure.
end. So In the concept development and alternatives analysis phase of the project, the team investigated 3 different reaches for the project, which was in water, on the waterfront, and inland. And generally, based on the public feedback we received, the preferred option was not to do something directly on the waterfront. Doing a portion of the project in the water was too expensive. So the alignment is a little bit further inland to preserve viewshed and access to the waterfront. And then also by moving the interventions off the waterfront, we were able to implement a lower overall feature, which is generally beneficial from cost, but also it doesn't separate the neighborhood or areas that is being put in. And that's why you see a lot of gates distributed throughout the project. The second piece of that is whether or not there are separate resilience plans for those buildings. This is a question from Michael. And the city did do a study to look at what would need to be done for the structures that are not directly receiving the benefits of flood risk reduction. And the characterization of those buildings was mostly that they are built in a better way or built in better compliance with the National Flood Insurance Program. So it's not, the structures themselves are better suited to adaptation. The city also did work with our building resilience design guidelines to look at what could be modified to prevent or reduce flood risk in those properties. But I don't have a definitive answer on how or what is going to be done for any of those buildings, but I think it's part of a conversation we need to keep having over the next couple months and years. And it's a question that's been asked before to this group. Is there anything you want to add, Frank or Dennis?
I think you answered it very well. I don't think there's anything to add.
Thank you. The next one is, will a copy of the presentation be shared to those that are registered? I was late as I was on a work call. I'd love to see the initial slides. I think RJ, you recorded this, and we're also probably going to post the slides in the presentation. Frank, will that go up on your guys' website?
Yes, it will go up on our website. And the QR code's up on the screen right now to get to the website. Once you guys have shared the recording with us, we'll put it up and the presentation as well.
So the next question is, are any permits outstanding or approvals required from Jersey City to complete the project? Dennis, do you want to take that one?
Yeah, sure. Obviously, we have small permits that have to be, the contractor does as he goes, depending on what he's working on. But the larger permits for the entire project are all in hand. Frank, I don't have a complete list in front of me, but the answer to that is yes. We have them. I just don't have a list to go through. I will say that maybe you weren't in the beginning or it was in the middle of my introduction. I'll just repeat it here. I want to make clear that the project has obtained all public and private easements required to complete the project, with the exception of 5 Jersey City public easements in roadways, road right-of-ways, and on some sidewalks in Jersey City. Those are the only ones outstanding, and we continue to work with Jersey City to finalize these easements, and we will resolve them in a timely fashion. We do not anticipate these easements disrupting the flow of the project as we've described today or the completion date. I just wanted to repeat that. I had said it in the beginning as well. So thank you very much for that question.
The next question is, do you expect this will cause a change in FEMA flood classifications for Hoboken? The answer to that is yes. There is the DEP and the city have applied for a conditional letter of map revision, which would amend the coastal floodplain on areas that are landward of the levee system that's getting built. And so the goal for that is, number one, to reduce flood risk in the community. And then number two is to change the underwriting status from a coastal floodplain to a riverine floodplain and change the required design flood elevations in that area, basically making it an X zone as FEMA qualifies it. That doesn't necessarily mean it's going to change construction standards for the city, because we want to have multiple layers of, I guess, response to the different types of flood risk we have. But the goal is to have a reduction in flood insurance premiums. This project, and FEMA has accepted the conditional letter of map revision that we submitted a few years back. It becomes a letter of map revision once the project is complete and certified to FEMA standards. Next question is for Harborside Park. Will it be an open concept, or will it have closing times for park with gates, or some type of closure like the waterfront walkway park downtown? We're concerned about noise and other loitering in the late hours for the surrounding building residents that overlook the park. I think that we have discussed gates and fencing on the west side of the park for the active play areas. On the east side of the park, I think that that is going to be an open concept. I know there is not an intent to close the waterfront walkway, but I think that most of Hoboken's parks are kind of like open at dawn, close at dusk. And I think that this park would be operated similarly as far as access goes from the city side. But this is a good question, and we can definitely keep discussing this on the Hoboken side of what should be the operating hours, and what, if any, controls we need to put in place so that the public are using the park at times that are appropriate for the adjacent properties. Just let me scroll down. Was there a change or resolution to the color of the wall and gates from the bright yellow? So the city of Hoboken hosted a conversation at Legion Charter School a few weeks back with Councilwoman Fisher, and it was discussed. I've raised the question to DEP, and I think that the takeaway from that conversation is we need to fabricate or actually manufacture a color so that we're not discussing something that's a rendering or a color palette, so that everyone can see and we can discuss it. But it has not been resolved or changed. Dennis, is that accurate to represent? That's kind of our next step.
I'll take it.
Okay.
That is the next step for us. We've the contractor is building a southern and a northern mock-up of the wall. The color, we think the color would be able to be there probably within a couple of months.
Okay.
And I think we probably should wait until that point in time before any conversation, so people can actually see what the color is before anything else gets done about it.
Question 11, if dust is being monitored, why do we have to bring it to the attention of the construction people? Currently, the mounds of materials are not completely covered. When the weather becomes drier, the dust will become more problematic. This is from Jill Fisher. I think that conversation about dust monitoring, we're aware that it needs to be monitored on site. Frank, I don't know if you or your construction team want to talk about the practices are in place, but it seems like there's an opportunity to improve dust mitigation on site right now.
Well, we are monitoring to make sure that there's nothing going over the state and local limits. But we've also asked the contractor to redouble efforts to make sure that, you know, the piles are covered more appropriately. I believe some of those piles will be leaving the site. The only reason that there's a stockpile there at this point is a short delay in disposal. And they will be redoubling their efforts to manage dust from tire tracks and that type of thing, so that it kicks up a little bit less. I think there'll be additional spraying from of water to limit that.
Next question is, who's responsible for maintaining the new Harborside Park? Once construction of the wall structure and park features is complete, where will the funding come from in the future? So the city of Hoboken will be responsible for, as well as the other, you know, project beneficiaries, I guess I would call them, responsible for maintaining the features. We want to make sure that we are getting the annual certifications we need. DEP is working on an operations and maintenance manual, and We will have to put a funding mechanism in place for that by 2027 when the project comes online. And right now, a leading thought is that we would be working with an existing operator to work and operate and maintain the system, and that if there's a reduction in insurance premiums on the west side of the city will need to develop a mechanism to capture some of that, since all the savings will go to individual insurance holders. So I'm still working through that issue, but it will become responsibility of the city once the project's complete. Frank, I don't know if you or the DEP have anything to add to that.
No, I think you've spoken about it very well. I mean, the only thing I would add is that the O&M process is about to really start to kick back into gear. We let it sit to the side for a little while we firmed up the final design, and now that we're in construction, the WSP team is going to actively start having that discussion. So we'll have additional information about it probably within the next year or two.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
The next question is, will park equipment at Harborside Park be suitable for young children under 4 years old? Will there be fencing around the park play structures? So if I remember correctly, there's multiple different areas on the west side that are appropriate for different, and that there will also be fencing that would prevent like ingress and egress to those different sites. But the active area on the west side doesn't necessarily have fencing between the areas. So if you want to send me an email, I can forward the renderings, more specific information on the active play areas. On the east side, there is an amphitheater, which is like exploring play, I guess, if you want to call it that, but not actual like playground equipment, because we wanted to separate the different passive and active uses on the site. So, but I'm happy to share the materials that we have. DEP is prepared.
And Caleb, we'll if that information isn't sufficient, we'll look at what the actual design shows, the actual the schematic drawings, and get you an answer.
That's the last question that I see. I guess we can hang out for another minute or two if anything else comes up. Let's see if we missed anything. Oh, those are the questions. On the city side, my contact information is on the bottom. You can email me at any time about different issues that come up. And I know that Isabella, Frank, and the project team's responsive. And we just appreciate the community's patience while we go through construction activities, knowing that we're heading towards new park and flood risk reduction and the things that we've been working on for years. So I think with that, I don't know, Dennis, if you have anything else you want to add to close out.
No, I just want to thank everybody for asking such great questions tonight and listening in. I know this video, when it's up, spread the word and share the video. The more people that know what's going on, and even these QR codes, they can help us help you by asking good questions and spreading the word about our ongoing construction project.
And
I'm sorry.
Just a quick question. So on as far as pacing goes, do you see us having another community meeting fall, the summer? What's the next steps? What's the next time we're coming back to present on updates and schedule and progress on the different issues that we've talked about?
Frank, I know we talked about this morning with Kim. I don't know if you had landed. I think we were thinking definitely having something later this year, right?
Yeah, Caleb, I would think probably fall, because it would allow more people to be able to be involved in the conversation than the summer because of vacations.
Okay.
So, and we would definitely have more to talk about at that point. We will be visible though. There's no question.
Very good. All right. I just want to say thanks to everyone who came out for the call. Please stay in touch and let us know if anything needs to happen related to the project. But thanks everyone for spending some time with us on Monday evening. Appreciate it.